So before we get rolling into the video, I wanted to start off by saying I apologize if I say 180 degrees. What I mean to say is 118 degrees. I have 180 degrees seared into my brain because of some work I was doing earlier. So please forgive me on that part. I didn't think going back and redoing all the videos for accidentally saying that was necessary. So please bear with me on that. Thank you, and we're gonna get started. If you're not familiar with your decimals and drill bits and taps and things like that, KBC Tool actually has a pretty nice chart that will help break things down for you. You can cross-reference back and forth with this chart. They have drill bit charts. They have a bunch of different ones that come in very handy if you're going to be having a shop like this to focus on your drill bits and things. So we're going to go ahead and get into drill bit sharpening. I'm going to be using the Drill Doctor 750X. This machine right here is good for a 3/32 to a 3/4 inch drill bit. Some of the products I'm going to be using are from Benchmark Abrasives. This is their Cobalt set. You're drilling into hard materials such as stainless or mild steel. This has the 135-degree angle on each end of the blade. Also from Benchmark Abrasives is their step bits. I have been using these for a couple weeks because I wanted to make sure if I'm going to sit here and talk about this product that they actually hold up. And let me assure you, they are holding up wonderfully. I haven't had a problem with them at all. I actually intentionally dulled one of these. It's a 1/4 inch drill bit so that I can show you how to use this machine. Also, I am going to be using the Hogan hole saw bits. Now, generally you would use like a mag drill with something like these, but they also have them to where you can use an actual drill gun. And I'm going to show you that as well. These are very handy. They have the mandrels, they have the hole saws, everything you need. I got a couple other drill bits here too. I have intentionally burnt the tip of this one up on a piece of stainless. This was a 180-degree drill bit, which was not the appropriate drill bit to use on stainless, but I wanted to mess it up so I can show you how to correct it if you have to. And we're gonna do that by hand. Also, if you can get your hands on a good angle finder to make sure that you are getting the right angle on your drill bits when you resharpen them, that's pretty crucial. So one thing I want to point out before we get started, you have two of the most common drill bits. Your angles is the 180-degree. That's for your plastics and softer material. Some sheet metal if you're putting center punches on everything, but your 135 degrees is going to be for your harder materials like your steels. And also the 135-degree, most all of them have what's called a split point on them. And that split point is going to keep that drill bit from walking all over the place while you're sitting there trying to drill something. Now, if you have one of these in a drill press, it's not something you're necessarily going to have to walk about because that drill press is going to keep everything uniform where it should be. So we'll go ahead and get started and show you what this machine is all about. And again, I'm going to show you how to do it by hand as well. It's important to know how to sharpen your drill bits, either by hand or with a machine, either one. Honestly, after using this machine here, I'm probably going to stop doing it by hand and just go straight to this. It made things easier, it was faster, and it was more accurate than what I could do. Now, a lot of companies I've worked for, when they break a drill bit or it gets dull, they'll throw it away. Okay, you can call me a garbage picker all you want, that's okay. I would go to the trash and I would pick these drill bits out. I would put them in a box or a container like this, bring them home, sharpen them up, and use them. A lot of companies seem to think that it's cheaper to throw them away and buy another one instead of just resharpening it because of how much time it takes. And it really don't take that much time. I think the problem is there's a misunderstanding on how to properly sharpen a drill bit. Most of your machinists out there, I've seen them do it by hand and by eye and not even use one of these, and those things are like brand new. Now, I'm not that good. I can't do that. I can sharpen it by hand enough to get me where I'm supposed to be and keep the ball rolling. But really, in the long run, if you just understand the process, have the right tools to do it, you can save yourself a ton of money and not throw these away every time one gets dull. So let's go ahead and get started. Now let's go ahead and get into this machine and sharpening. The number one thing I want to tell you, we're going to start out with a 135-degree drill bit. Now, using my angle finder to double check to make sure that is the proper angle on this drill bit, which is correct. You're going to get your chuck here, slide your drill bit in, okay? And then just snug it up. Not too snug because you still want to be able to move this before you put it, or when you put it in here. Now the machine itself already has the 118 degree mark on it, okay? The manual states if you go one notch over, that's gonna be your 135 degree. So on this chuck itself, you're gonna have some alignment tabs here and here. So use one of those to line up with the center of this. So one notch over, slide that in there, locks in place. Now on the back side of the machine, there's gonna be a little thumb piece here, and that's gonna open that mouth. And what you wanna do is push that drill bit forward, let that mouth there grab a hold of the flutes of the drill bit. And when it does that, go ahead and tighten this up. Not too tight because you don't want to break anything. It is plastic. After you do that, push that, pull this out. Now that's giving you the proper distance to put down in here to sharpen your drill bit. I'm going to show you how easy this actually is. This is why I really like this machine. It sets your distance for you, gets your angle ready for you, and all you got to do is put this thing in here and turn it. Now there's a white line right here. What you're gonna do is match that white line up with this piece here. And when you do, what you're gonna do is just sit there and turn over and over. Before I go too far, I don't know if the camera's gonna pick this up. You loosen this knob, okay? This slides up and down. That's gonna give you your angle you want. Now it's marked for 135 there. Down here it's marked for 118. We are wanting to do 135 degree. Tighten this up, just like this. And that is where we're supposed to be. So now again, all you're gonna do, white line, set that down in there. Back of the machine, turn the power on, and you're just gonna simply just rotate it, okay? And just keep rotating. And you'll hear it when it, the grinding is finished on the drill bit itself. Let me get that white line lined up, turn the machine on. I'm not pushing down. I'm just simply rotating. Turned off. I know it's a little loud, but one thing we're going to look for after you get that drill bit ran through there and resharpened is right here on the back or your cutting edge. You should feel a little burr. Now I feel that burr on both sides. That lets me know this thing's good. Okay, it really wasn't that dull in the beginning, but I still wanted to make sure to use this for a good example. Now on the side here, we need to put a split point back on this thing after sharpening it. What you're going to do is take this off, set that to the side. Again, your white mark here is going to line up with that notch there. And you're not going to turn or anything. You're just going to push it in, let it eat, take it out, turn it, push it in, let it eat, take it out. Turn the machine off, and that gives you a really nice split point on the tip of that blade. And again, what that's going to do is when you go down to drill, if you're drilling by hand, it's going to prevent it from walking all over your metal while you're trying to drill. Regardless, I still always say center punch your marks, regardless of what you're working on. Don't always think, okay, I can hold it steady. I'm just that good. All right, so we got one sharpened up, and it took a little longer than it should have, mainly because I was sitting there running my mouth. I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen this one up to show you it does not take that long to resharpen a drill bit. This one is in okay shape. It's got a little chip on the end of it, But I just want to show you how fast this process really is comparing to throw one away, ordering another one, and waiting for that return. Now, yeah, you might have some spares on the side, but again, we're talking about saving money here. So I'm just going to go through the motions of what I do. And this one is a 135-degree angle on it. Everything looks good. That little chip on the end of it's gone. Turn this around, get that split point put back on there. Very nice. That fast, that simple. And that's why I really like this machine, because they really did simplify everything and put everything into one little unit here. So I can appreciate that. Believe it or not, this will do masonry bits as well. I didn't have any masonry bits, well anyways, in good enough shape to even show you how to do that on here. Mine are mostly broken or just completely trashed, and I didn't want to go buy new ones and dull them just to show you how to sharpen them. But yeah, that does a wonderful job. This drill doctor, they thought this thing out, and again, it's only going to save you time, money, energy, and yeah, the biggest thing again is money. You know, you buy you a good brand, good quality drill bit, make sure you don't abuse them, and also the 135 degree, don't forget that. If you're drilling into metals or cast irons or stainless, things like that, you want a 135 degree angle. It's going to last longer, it's going to eat better into that steel. If you're going into softer materials such as plastic and wood and things like that, go with 180 degrees. Now, if you're a full-time drill press person, I really don't think the two matter. I'm not an expert on any of this, but I am giving you my own metal fabrication opinion on the matter, because this is exactly how I do it, and I've never had any problems. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to sharpen one by hand. Now, having one of these is very crucial when it comes to either resharpening your drill bit or taking one that's damaged and repairing it, okay? So again, you got to keep in mind, what angle am I working with on that drill bit? If it's 135, set it to 135. If it's a 118, set it to 118. Get right to you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get to sharpening by hand. This one is not in that bad of shape. It's got a couple little rolls on it. It definitely needs sharpened, and I'm going to show you how to do this by hand. But again, having one of these, I went ahead and this drill bit is supposed to be 118 degrees. I went ahead and set this to 118, checking it just to confirm that is correct. So the thing is, when you come over here to sharpen these, a lot of people naturally want to use this as a rest. Completely forget about that, okay? And don't wear a glove when you do this. You put a glove on and that gets caught in there, that's going to pull your hand in. I'd rather get a burn on the tip of my finger here than get my hand pulled into that machine. So one thing to remember, when you go to sharpen this, you're actually rotating that blade back towards you. So if this is your cutting edge here, okay, you're going to get down in there, you're going to start on this side here and roll it back. Nice even strokes. Don't put pressure down on it. Just let it sit there and just lightly sand on it. And we're going to keep checking our angle. I'll do this twice. I'll flip the blade over, do that twice, check my angle, look at the tip of this, make sure everything's just fine. Now, forgive me for the noise and the rattling here. This is not the best bench grinder. I've had this thing for a very long time. It's kind of on its last leg. I have been window shopping new ones, so hopefully one day I can get one that I can do some polishing on, grinding on, and everything I need to accomplish in this shop. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. So again, I'm starting back here on this profile, and I'm going to roll it towards me. Still got my 118 degrees. And that thing looks brand new. And again, this is 118 degrees, so I'm not worried about putting a split point on this thing. But the biggest problem people have is when they go to sharpen on one of these drill bits, they sharpen way too much on one side and not enough on the other. So then you wind up having more of an angle on this side than you do this side. That's why having this right here to make sure what you're doing is getting you that proper angle on both sides is very important. Now, what I was looking for while I was grinding that was right here on that cutting edge. I seen it had a little roll here on the corner on this side. Well, I think it was this side. And the other side, there was a couple little chips. And what I was doing was making sure I was removing them as I was rotating this drill bit. So again, I'm just gonna, did you get a good close-up of that? I got my cameraman here with me today. I'm always happy when he's here because it makes life so much easier. You had a good zoom in on that? All right, well, so again, actually, I'm gonna just use this for an example. Hold this up here, Ethan. It's okay, you can put your hand in the camera. You might become a hand model. All right, so again, let me get a good focus there. As I was going up to that stone, I was rotating back towards me. Turn the blade, rotate back towards me. Now, when I started, I did 3 times, rotated it 3 times, checked it, rotated it, and just kept doing that until I got rid of all the imperfections on that blade. So again, you're going to touch that stone, rotate it back. Touch that stone, rotate it back. Over and over. Now that blade right there should be good to go as far as cutting. I can get more precise on it, but I think what we have here is going to be perfectly fine. I'll always check for that burr on the back side. I have that burr on both sides. That tells me that thing is good and sharp. I've corrected all the edges on it. All right, so now we got the damaged drill bit. This thing is seriously disgusting looking. It is a completely useless drill bit right now. And what we're gonna do is repair this thing and get it to a new functioning level, or light new anyways. I'm gonna use the bench grinder to get it where I need it to be, and then I'm gonna take it over to the drill doctor and fine tune this thing. So let's get started. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the tip of this in here and flatten this drill bit out all the way. As I'm doing it, I'm gonna go across the stone here. The reason I don't want to hold it in one place is going to create a groove on it, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to sit here until I get it to where I want it. So now that I got all that chewed up into that off of there, I got a nice flat surface to work with. What I'm going to do is bring this down to 118 degrees, okay? And all I'm going to do is work on each edge, eyeballing it until I get to where I think it's 118. Then I'll keep checking it until I reach what I want using the angle finder. So it looks like we're getting pretty close. And as you notice, I was rotating that blade and doing the same thing as when I was sharpening it. When I was putting it up against that stone, I was rolling back. And then I'd switch over and roll back towards me. So let's see what we got. Wow, that was almost right on the money. We're still a little bit shy on one side. So I got a little bit more to go. Fix that camera angle. That is right on the money for 118 degrees. All right, so I actually got this thing pretty sharp as we was going along, but I'm still going to run it through that drill doctor to fine tune it at 118. The last drill bit we sharpened in there was 135. So now we'll do a 118 and see what we got. Now I got another drill bit here. I'm not going to do this one on camera because it's the same process. But here's one I broke inside of a frame of a car. That was fun getting out, by the way. Now in this situation, what I would do is I would go about 1/8 of an inch below that fracture line on the bottom side of it and run that through a saw with some cutting fluid and cut that off. You don't want to use a cutting wheel on this because the angle grinder, like the DeWalt one that I have, if I put a cutting wheel on it and cut it, it's going to throw way too much heat on it as I'm cutting this drill bit. So preferably if you have a bandsaw or something, you can use some cutting fluid to keep the blade cool as you're cutting it is ideal. But you would go through the same process. You chop this off, then go through the same process as I did to resharpen this one. So don't think this is trash. This is still a perfectly good drill bit. It's just going to take some repairs. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and fine tune this thing again using the Drill Doctor 750X. Good for a 3/32 blade all the way up to 3/4. The only reason I am using this now after hand sharpening it is because this thing has proven to me how they can really turn a drill bit into a brand new drill bit. So that's the role I'm taking. Same process. I'm just going to put this drill bit in here, sharpen this up, tighten this up. Sorry. It's been a long weekend. Me and my son, we've been pretty busy getting yard work done and things like that. And he's been a great help. He's getting really good at cutting grass too. So before I go too far, because I will forget to do it, I got to take my steps. I need to change this from 135 to 18 or 118. What I'm going to do is loosen this knob here. I'm going to rotate it down to where it says 118 degrees. Make sure I'm good and centered. Tighten that up. Make sure I'm still good. Up. Sorry, I have to look at things directly at me. Okay. Now we're at 118. I've got this loose. Push this lever down. Put this in here at the chuck at 118. Turn this a little bit. Let those teeth grab that flute. Lock that. Pull it out. Make sure that's tight. See what we got. All right. Good as new. Hope you enjoyed that part of it. Now we're going to go ahead and get into using these Hogan hole saw bits and the augers. These things are awesome, and also these step bits. There's a reason why I would use this compared to this, or compared to this, or sorry, this. Each one has a function. So depending on what you're working on is going to be that function. Also, I'm going to give you a nice little tip when you're drilling into stainless and aluminum. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, so starting out, we're going to drill some holes into aluminum. I'm going to show you how to save your drill bits while you're doing this. Also, I'm going to be using my Hogan hole saw bits to show you as well. Now, wax. Wax is a very important situation to have when you're cutting into any aluminum. This is an abrasive material. It will dull anything you start cutting into it with. So having wax is key to getting a successful, nice, clean cut when you're cutting into that material. Like always, center punch. Okay, I'm just going to grab a random bit here, get it loaded, get some wax, put it right down in there. You can be very generous with it. There is no certain amount. Just get that there. And it ate right through it like it was nothing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I got the big one and I got the small one, but I'm going to just go ahead and use the small one. Now these Hogan arbors and then the hole saws, they all have this little spring-loaded tip in there. Okay, so that's for your center punch. Let me get my hammer. And oh, I've had this hammer for quite a while now. This thing is pretty cool. It's got a little button on it. You can flip those claws out of the way, or you can flip it all the way forward for a pry bar. It's pretty neat. Not supposed to be part of the video, but I've had this thing for a long time. So anyways, here we go. Just gonna pop a hole there. Put this back up. Get my Hogan auger and hole. Okay, got that lined up. Gonna get some wax. Load that up. And remember that spring-loaded pin right there is gonna go right in that center punch I made. Now this, you don't wanna just force down, okay? You just wanna give it a little bit of a little tiny bit of force and then just let it eat on its own. You don't have to go super high speed, so I'm gonna go down to 1. Now what happened there, where'd it go? It just fell on the floor. I was hoping it wanted to find that little tab that fell out of it. Now, if you can see here, using that Hogan hole saw gave me a real nice, clean, perfect circle, okay? Now the drill bit, I just rushed through it, punched right through it real fast. But what I like about using these hole saws, these things, if you need a precise cut, an exact hole, they will do it for you. Hogan, I've been using their brand for a long time. I had a real nice mag drill of theirs that actually burn up. So eventually one day I will get another one and show you all how to use those mag drills, because there are some tricks to those. And along the way and along the years, I have picked up a lot of really cool stuff to utilize that tool. So another one, a step bit. I want to point this one out real quick too. Same thing, you're going to use wax for your aluminum. A lot of people don't use these because they don't fully understand what's going on. And the reason I say that, I've had multiple people tell me they don't understand what this thing is for. All it's doing, it is starting you out from a 0 size hole. This one will take you all the way up to a 7/8. But along the way, if you look on the side here, okay, there's this little ledge. And what that little ledge is let's say you get to, let me find a number here. My lighting in the garage ain't that good. 1/2 inch, okay? You get to 1/2 inch and you just stop there and then bear down just a little bit. That lip right there is actually gonna deburr your hoe for you, okay? And also it is going to give you a bevel in that hoe if you're needing that. So let's go ahead and get this lined up. Don't like that. There we go. I'm gonna readjust this plate. Okay, and again, center punch. I center punch everything I possibly can. Oh, another key factor. We was talking about 1/2 inch. We're gonna stick with 1/2 inch. I'm gonna find my 1/2 inch mark, and right there on that bevel, what I'm gonna do is take my Sharpie. I'm gonna mark around it on both sides. This way, I know when to stop. Got my wax on there. Actually, I'm gonna speed this one up a little bit. I already went through it. I'm gonna put a little more wax on there just to protect this bit. There we go. And that hoe is already deburred and everything. Looks good, nice and clean. Okay. So again, on aluminum, using wax, it doesn't matter. Drill bits, hole saw bits, step bits, use wax. It's gonna save you, like a lot. So now let's go ahead and cut into some stainless steel. Now note, using cobalt bits is what you wanna use for stainless steel, and also that 135-degree angle along with some, I have Tap Magic here, cutting fluid. I really like their brand. I think it's a really good one, but there are a lot of other brands as well. So just do your research on that part. I just like Tap Magic. I use them with my tap and die sets and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and get into that. I'm just gonna start with the smaller drill bits to save a little time. The thing with stainless, if you have an adjustable drill, set that down to 1, okay? Do not put that thing on full speed. You'll burn that drill bit up. I don't care that it's a cobalt 135. If you go full throttle with this thing, you're gonna burn it up. Using lubricant is key and a low speed. Now, like everything else, you want to center punch it. Now, center punching steel or stainless steel, you need a hardened center punch. That's a heat treated center punch. I'm gonna go here, get me a center there. And I always go ahead and add my fluid to that center punch hole. Now sometimes these can take a little longer because it's stainless, but again, you want to go nice and slow and just let it eat. Don't just force down on it. Okay, here we go. Take a little break, add a little more oil. Right through it, no problem. And I want to show you real quick, just by adding that oil and going low speeds, you can save that drill bit. And what I mean by that, so I got a piece of steel here now, which I still even use oil on steel. The only thing I don't use oil on is aluminum. My center punch, add a little oil. Now this one, I am gonna go full throttle with it. Okay, ready? That's even after using it on stainless, and this is a smaller drill bit. Most of your smaller drill bits, when you start cutting into stainless steel at high speeds, no oil, you're not taking that thing and going and cutting through a piece of steel again. You're usually resharpening that bit. So I like to keep that noted. So while I've got this piece of steel out, I want to show you this hole saw blade again. Now we're going to use the Hogan hole saw here. And again, same thing. You're going to add your center punch, just like this. Add a little bit of oil. One thing I want to say, when you're going and you're drilling with these hole saws, make sure you don't have your gun at an angle when you're trying to drill this. Have it straight up and down as possible. It's going to get you a nice clean hole, and it'll keep that hole saw from wanting to wander and walk around everywhere. Low speed on the drill, and I'm going to go slow with the trigger until I know it's got a good bite all the way around before I start really going into it. See, tried to walk on me. I didn't have my drill straight. Oh, try to do it again. Add a little more oil. Off some of these shavings, add a little more oil. Granted, using a mag drill is much faster and cleaner, but this still, in a pinch, does a wonderful job. Just like that. All right, so I want to show another cool, very useful feature with these things. This happens more than you think, and it's okay. Sometimes I have seen where people go through and drill a bunch of holes. They wind up drilling the wrong hole size, usually too small. Having too small of a hole is always a positive because you can always go back and make it bigger. So that's where these step bits come in. So you grab one of these, you mark where you want your hole size to be, and just go through and ream them all out. And it's a very simple, very quick process. turn that speed up. Forgot to do that. Do a little oil. Look how fast that ate through that. I didn't lock my drill. I don't know if you knew this, but all drills have a lock. When you tighten that thing down, you hold this, give it one click, and that actually locks that chuck into place to where that won't fall out. And there we go. I hope y'all enjoyed that. This is my disaster I have now after doing a video. I do hope it was informative. Please let me know in the comments if there's things I need to work on as far as when I describe something. But the things we want to remember here, anytime you're working on hard materials such as steel, use a 135-degree angle with the split point. Anything with plastics or wood and things like that, use a 118-degree drill bit. Also, when you're going into aluminum, drill bits, cutting wheels, don't matter what it is, use a wax. I got some fabrication videos coming up soon, and I'll be using an actual 12-inch saw blade, and it is for aluminum specifically. I'm going to show you all how that works. But remember, wax with aluminum is going to get you very far. Use your cutting fluid on anything you're drilling into, okay? Sometimes we get in a rush. We want to just kind of skip that step, but again, you're wasting material as far as your drill bits go. You don't have to throw your drill bits away. Get you a good sharpener, okay? You're going to save yourself a lot of money, and it's not as time consuming as what you think it is. Just have a simple understanding of how this thing works. Read the manual, and you'll buzz right through it. Also, good quality drill bits. Good quality drill bits will go a long way. The cheaper you buy, that's what you get. You get cheap. So check out Benchmark Abrasives and their drill bits. They have some really nice ones. Again, if you're going up in size, wanting to use hole saws in metal or aluminum or stainless or any of that, check out Hogan's. They got some really nice ones. Their mag drills, all of it. Again, my bench grinder, I can't say much about it except for it's about to fall apart. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more and have a good one.